some shifting in color.
Welcome, everyone, to Give a Shift, the podcast that is designed to create positive, radical change in your life. I'm one of the co-hosts, Nancy Leeds-Gribble.
And I'm Alicia Ziegler.
And we welcome you. And we are excited for episode number
8.
Have
we done 8?
I think we're episode
what happens
number
when
8.
You get lost in a mountain discussing exercise? I must have been like, oh, I don't know. Was that 8? 7. That was 7.
We're still under 10. We know that, but we're climbing.
We're growing.
We are growing one day at a time, right?
Yay.
And we're
nourished. We're nourished, lift growing.
Yes. And we are excited for today's topic. The whole podcast, when Alicia and I decided what we want to talk about, it was really those shifts that you can make in your life, whether you're making the big ones or the tiny ones. They all matter. They all add up as long as you keep doing them, consistently and continuing. I am going to kind of lean into that since you did bring up the name of my company is Nourish,
Yes.
Lift, Grow. Handy that it's also my initials, but but the grow part was really important to me because people know nourish your body, your mind, your soul. Lift, I'm always about lifting each other up, lifting our community up, lifting weights, and then grow. We have to have a continual growth mindset, really to keep living vibrantly and actively and on purpose. And I think so many people forget that. And they just get in a very reactive state of life instead of proactive. And when I first had my world, kind of the rug pulled right out from under me and was trying to figure things out, I started reading. And then when I got into health coaching and went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, they made a comment that no matter what else you do, you want to have at least 15 to 20 minutes of personal development in some form every day. It should be a non-negotiable.
Not including my workout.
No, it's self-development. It's not.
Look at Nancy, you guys. She's like, no, Alicia, your exercise is extra.
It's here. It's the brain train.
Yeah, right.
And not the body train, not what you're going to eat, but how you're going to think, right? We talk about it, change your plate, change your state.
Right.
So today, Alicia and I wanted to bring books.
Yay!
That we have. We know there's books and there's podcasts and there's this and there's that. I'm very old school still. I like books. How about you?
I don't know if you guys can tell. That's a whole bookshelf, and I've had to clear it out and put some in the garage. And then I've had to learn to share them and let them go. And
Yeah. I've shared many books and people have made comments. They love getting my books, especially the personal development books or the faith books, because I'm an avid highlighter. Yeah. I like if something's really like resonating, I draw like 1,000 arrows to it.
You got that stars and hearts all right in the binder. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. You can't do that on a Kindle. You can't.
You cannot. And, I'm happy to say, interesting, I have a Kindle. It's probably archaic at this point. But I did try to download a book on it, and it was like, this book is not downloadable on this device. And I thought, oh, maybe it is. Back to books it is.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason.
Yeah. I'm good with the Kindle with
like travel
with fiction.
With fiction.
Like, it's just a novel. It's I don't need to highlight anything important. But if it's a faith book, if it's a self-help book or anything in that realm, even a nutrition book, I really want it hard copy. But I do give a lot of them away. So when we talk today, I think the same for you. We won't have our copies, all of them.
I pulled one up on my phone because I was like, one of the books that changed my life. I'm like, I really do think it was so riveting to me and so game changing. I've lent it to somebody else, hoping that they would have the same experience. So I'm like, I don't even have it with me. But
yeah. So let's start there. Let's start with that book.
Yeah, let's start with that book. Let's start with a fellow vegan who was not, and he is super plant-based. He has a phenomenal podcast that I listen to religiously. It's Rich Roll.
Yes.
And he wrote a book called Finding Ultra. And I remember reading this book and thinking to myself, I always am so deeply and profoundly moved by people who have that light bulb moment and in an instant just change their whole life. Yeah. And so when I read Finding Ultra and I read how sick he was and how it was his birthday and he was overweight and he was going up the stairs and he almost felt like he was having a heart attack, and just in that moment, I think he was 35, he said, that was it. I have to change everything that I'm doing, from his job to the way that he was eating, the way that he was living. And I just remember reading the book, and, you know, I'm also extremely turned on by long endeavors and hard things and people chasing dreams. And so when I read Finding Ultra, that was the first time. I can't even imagine. How old is this book? When did I first read this? 2012. So it's taken me, what are we in? 2023. That long to finally decide to run my own ultra.
Woo!
Yay! So in reading this book, it's just one of those, whether you run an ultra or not, the metaphors for running are so parallel to so many things in your life, how hard it is, how mental it is, how you do it when you don't feel like it, how you have to have follow through in order to get to the finish line, and have people support you and all of that. And so that's probably one of the most profound books I've ever read that really impacted me.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And yay on running your first ultra.
Pom-poms. I just want Nancy to bust out her pom-poms when I finish.
I totally busted out the pom-poms.
Yeah, we'll see. Wait for it. So how about you?
That's an awesome book. I would say, like, I mean, I definitely growing up just read fun books. Like, that's pretty much what I read. And then, like I said, after James passed away and bankruptcy and career loss and all those things, I was crippled by fear. I really was. I was like, holy SHIT. I'm an older single mom. I've been in real estate I'm very successful, but the market crash pulled that rug right out from me. I don't have backup from my husband because he passed away. I was over $1.5 million in debt, and I had lost all my investment properties. And I sat there going, I'm out. Like, I'm out, but I have a son, so I can't be out. Like, I got to figure it out. And so somebody gave me this book, Fearless by Max Lucado. And, you know, it's an easy read, but it was exactly what I needed. It was exactly like, I think the best thing I heard in it was, you cannot have faith and fear at the same time. You cannot live in both of those at the same time, and you need to make a choice. Do you want to live in faith or do you want to live in fear? And I'm like, well, I can't live in fear like this because I have a son. Like, it wasn't even about me. And so this book was every night I think I read it like 4 times.
Oh, wow.
And I know we were just talking before we went live, Alicia and I were talking how we love to highlight. We love to write things down. And that's what I just kept doing. And after I read it, I would just open a page someday and go, that's exactly what I need to hear. So for me, that was the pivotal book in just helping me figure out then what I was, maybe not yet what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, but to start shifting my thought from fear to faith and going, I don't know the how, I certainly don't know the why of this world, but I'm going to have faith that it's going to all work out. And
that's one of those things, right? Too, the why, where you're like, why did this? If people think it's happening to you, but you realize it's for you, and it's so hard in hindsight to look in the moment at like, what is this really going to give me or serve me? And look where you are now. I mean, absolutely, you know.
Yeah.
honoring his life by living yours to the fullest and loving and embracing that, and then diving into not giving up, I think is such a powerful testament to like who you are, but how people can impact you
Yeah.
even in their loss. Right. And it's,
Right.
I think a lot of times we can get hung up on, well, what do I do now? And what's it all for? And that's, which kind of takes me to one of my other books. Actually, it's probably a great segue. I didn't even think of it, but is Wild.
I have never heard that one.
Okay, so it's turned into a movie. I really wish I could have played with Reese Witherspoon's role, the lead, but that's okay.
Oh,
I'm available for hire. No. But it's From Lost to Found on the Pacific Crest Trail. And there's two things that I think, just kind of like Finding Ultra, I'm a big advocate of movement.
yeah.
And I know everybody really is like, you got to be still and you got to think. And I have found I do emotionally service myself by movement.
Yeah.
And when I'm feeling stuck and I'm feeling sad and I'm feeling agitated, I'm not really great at like, let's meditate. I'm like, I got to move and I got to shake some shifting up, we'll call it shifting instead of, you know what, and get some things going. And the fact that she lost her mom and was so devastated that she didn't know what to do, that she just decided she would hike the Pacific Crest Trail. You know, basically, you start at Baja to Oregon, I believe. And so that was just one of those that it also made me realize that we can do hard things, and how we decide to survive without our person or without certain people can really impact others. And I just thought it was such a fascinating read because it was so detailed.
Yeah.
Down to just how she grew up and thoughts and feelings and when you want to give up and how you can't give up on a mountain or you will die and things like that. And so, and it also gave me my love for hiking.
Oh,
like it really reaffirmed that there's no better healer than nature.
Oh, no better.
I mean, God's gift to the world is nature. Like when I am a cranky jerk, I'm like, peace out. I'm going on a hike, and I can come back and be like, hi, how is everybody? Did you have a good day?
Yes.
And,
yes.
you know, so that's probably one of my, and I've had that book forever. Like it looks like it's yellow. It's turned yellow.
I might cheat on that one and watch the movie.
Yeah, and you can watch the movie. You know, that's the thing too, right? Like I know people are always they may not have a lot of time to read. But here's what I realized. Like they always say, and you were saying in the beginning, it takes 10 minutes to exercise your brain.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes of actual reading pages, not computer, does that for you.
Yeah.
I agree. Even if you only read 10 pages a night, you can do some serious, work on your brain and being able to get more detail than you would in a movie. But the movie,
that's true.
The books always allow you to have so much more visual than someone else deciding what your visual is going to be in a movie. But
yeah, that's very true.
It's really good.
I was being
She's a shifter.
Yeah.
I also took her writing class. I've met Cheryl. So that was, she's great. Phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely up your alley too, for sure.
Right?
And I love it that it spurred your love of hiking. And I agree 100% about nature. The best healer ever. The other book I do not have a copy of because it has made its rounds. I've lent it to a bunch of people. Was a teeny tiny little book. And it was called Be Your Own Hero. And kind of the sequel to The Secret.
Okay.
And, a lot of people I know, they're like, you can't just, wish things and they happen. No, you have to do the footwork. But again, it was at a time I was really lost. My identity had been a realtor, a very successful realtor. My identity had been, I'm married. And my identity was I was an investor. All my identities got taken, except for mom and me, and I'm there. And when I was trying to figure out, I'm like, when I realized I was not going to stay in real estate, even if when the market was going to change, was, I believe God had entrusted me as a single mom to my son. And I really wanted to be around nights and weekends for him. Like there was no more clarity than that. That was
Mhm.
at the top. But I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And so when I read The Hero, how to be the hero of your own life, and it addressed this actual thing. And it was like, what do you, when you're in your free time, what do you gravitate towards? What do you
Oh,
automatically pick that magazine up and you're like, I got to read that, or I want to read more of that? And it was always nutrition, health, working out, animals. Like it was that arena of,
right.
nutrition and health. And so that's how I pivoted I decided, well, I would go to IIN just for my own knowledge. And then whoosh, 4 years later of schooling, here I sit. Well, now many years later, but that's how it started. And I thought it was really key. Like, what do you gravitate towards naturally? Like when, it's such a weird thing, right? Like, was my situation, did it in the moment feel like a blessing? That would be a big
No.
fat no. Do I know how blessed I am that I had an opportunity to kind of reinvent what I do? 100%. I certainly, it hasn't been easy. And that doesn't mean I wish anybody away, but you can't change life. So yeah, so The Hero was it was a good book for me,
That's
and
awesome.
very pivotal. Yeah, and tiny read, easy.
Right, and mine are like this big.
Yeah, no, I have many like that. This one was
Okay.
a tiny
I
one.
was
Yeah,
like, the readers gonna be, people are gonna be like, no, Alicia, we're good. We don't need
yeah. No, I got one that people are going to give me a big fat no on.
I was like, oh yeah, I have quite a few of those too. Yeah, I mean that's how wild it was. It just made me feel like it's okay. It was okay to be angry that I had lost my dad, and it was okay to feel like you needed to explore, and it's okay to. And I laughed that she did it with um, hiking, but at 10, obviously, I couldn't go hiking by myself. But I did. I turned to exercise and movement, and
Yeah,
it is fascinating. I think when you do look at what you gravitate to in order to direct those things in your life. I have many wonderful acting books. In fact, I didn't pull it out, but since we're on the topic of what shifts and inspires, so one of the greatest acting books that I've ever read is Acting from a Spiritual Perspective.
oh, nice.
I know it kind of gives me the chills because it's one of those where it's not just the flashy how to, this is that. It's about knowing who you are and how you show up as an artist
Yeah,
and a human and a person in the real world, and how you're navigating those things and how you think. So you get to really dissect yourself
yeah,
and realize, like, oh, I thought I was showing up like this, but that may not be the case. And why am I not giving a higher power that gratitude of my creativity? Like, we're born to create, we're born to be different, stand out, and give something back to the world. However, like you were saying, yours was in the nutrition world. Like, that is your creativity. I have seen your Canva account. It's phenomenal. Nancy is very creative. So having those layers and those things, but the book is so deep, and it's just so self-reflective, that on an acting thing, for any actors listening in our community, that is a good one for you. But to kind of piggyback what I don't know, Nance, which one do we do to
those are
piggyback?
both of those are real. They're such a different read.
I know. I do think that The Untethered Soul is a must.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a really good one.
Like, if I ever had to say, look at the back, who are you really?
Yeah,
I think this is probably one of those, the most introspective. And you feel hugged. It's the kind of book that you read, and even though you're having like the feelings, you're like, but I'm in really good hands. Like, I can explore all of this. I can be free from limitations. I can soar beyond boundaries. I don't have to be in this box. I don't have to be a victim to my circumstances. I can make choices, and I can shift and have powerful movement in my life. And I think really shaking like habitual thoughts and emotions and like even negative energy patterns
Yeah.
that limit you. Like all of that kind of stuff is what I got from that book. And I always tell people I'm not very good at being, I call it being a repeat offender. Like someone's like, you should read that book again. I'm like, I'm not a repeat offender. There's like 9 million other books I should read. Same with movies. I know, but I'm like trying to play catch up. Okay. But this book is priceless. And this is a book that you literally could read once a year. It's not big.
Yeah.
This I offer you as it's not daunting and it's life changing. But yeah, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
Yeah, that's real. I've read that one too. Very, very, very good book.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a book called The Game Changer, which is actually very good also.
I was going to laugh because I was like, you know what I have over here? The Change Maker.
Oh, I have the Game Changer. So funny. So obviously, Alicia and I, we like to read.
Oh my gosh, so much.
So I'm going to shift it a little bit from to the big book that I don't have because I've lent it out to many people. And it is Salt, Sugar, Fat. It's about 650 pages in tiny little print. And you go, huh? But I will tell you, this book, gives you the overview on the state of marketing and how the FDA works, how the food companies work, and how, whether you agree or not, but it's true, how we were really all brainwashed into believing the marketing that was sold to us. And the food companies have what's called the bliss point in their foods, which is that sweet spot of salt and sugar and fat that is designed to keep you addicted. And that's it. And then the marketing that goes along and the lies that go on the front of food, processed foods and things like that. It's why you have to become so nutritional savvy. But I also, as we've talked about many times, I work with a lot of women in midlife and older who have prescribed to don't eat fat. And, just trying to get them to eat some healthy fat. And, all the thing now is don't eat carbs. And it's like, no, it's healthy carbs, but you don't eat more than this amount of food.
I am not giving up my Ezekiel tortilla.
Yeah, but it's like if you were to scroll Instagram, you see all these health coaches and everybody saying it's not your fault, and people are like probably thinking, why is it not my fault? Read this book, and you will find out if you were in that error why. It really during that time, the marketing was intense. And the way the FDA and the food companies were in alliance, not looking out for our better good, is unbelievable. And it still happens today. So it's it's an amazing, eye-opening book. It is a big, daunting book. I mean, I think it took me the entire summer to read last year.
I mean, that's like a textbook.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, no, it's not. It's a real book.
But I mean, like, you're going to treat it like it's like textbook.
You
like,
treat it 100%. You treat, and it gets a little scientific. But listen, I don't even think, I just want to throw this out. Like people are I have a whole, I'm not going to go into one area. In the government in their buy-in with food companies, when the whole no fat craze came, all of a sudden these food companies were like marketing no fat. So everybody was eating processed crap, but no fat. Well, the government had agreed to the companies that they would buy their surplus food. Well, cheese turned out to be a surplus food.
Yes.
Who knew that the government spent $1 million, now I can't remember if it's a day or a week, but either is pretty darn big, on a cheese cave for 5 years to store cheese of our taxpayer money, of leftover food. We got people starving, we got all kinds of things, but we're hoarding cheese in a cheese cave. And anyway, you just read stuff and you're like, oh my God. And it's why I'm so, and I know you are too, adamant, like you have to be your own nutritional investigator, detective, body doctor,
I mean,
advocate, all the things, and read labels and understand what they mean. So
because
not just the
right.
big front, like it contains blueberries and there's no blueberries, like I'm saying. So
No,
anyway,
100%, right? Right, because
big book.
marketing is everything, right? They will manipulate you with marketing and try to make it appear healthy.
Yeah.
They do color testing, they do package testing. They'll make it look good so that you'll just pick it up and put it in your cart without actually reading the ingredients,
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. It kind of reminds me of the book Skinny Bitch. Did you ever
Oh,
read
yeah, I
Skinny
remember
Bitch?
that book.
Yeah, and I think, and that's a small book people could read if they wanted to have a little bit of like a start or a little bit of an insight, because it is just a no nonsense approach to like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you don't have time to read 650, I'm gonna read it. Then you can get excited and encouraged by knowing just information, and I think that's the thing, right? I think that a lot of people feel like they don't know, so they just don't do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like once you know, you kind of get pissed off,
Right.
right? Like I
Yeah.
think part of the reason I started this whole business is I was like, I'm a little agitated
Yeah.
of you're polluting, but making it look good.
Yeah.
Or trying to make it sound like a 5-minute easy meal that's
Right.
gonna ultimately just make people sick.
Right. It's so true. And it's ignorance seems blissful, but it's not.
No, it's detrimental.
Yeah, it's detrimental. And so anything that can be an eye opener, that's a great point. You could start with the smaller book because this is a big one. Find or read the synopsis.
This is the only time it'll ever be like this, where Nancy says the big one, and I'm like, you can do the baby version.
but really the important thing, I mean, I know both Alicia and I, we have 1,000 nutrition books. We have,
Oh my,
I buy them just because a lot of times I want to
I
hear
have a
what
lot.
people are saying.
Yeah.
And I'm very open. I always like to hear both sides of things.
Sure. Yeah.
And of course I have my own opinion, but I still am always, I like to hear both sides. I like to listen. And so I buy a lot of books. I mean, some books people are like, I would never have pegged you to read that book, but I'm like, I want to hear the other side. And that's the rub though, is everybody does have an opinion. Everybody does have their say. And when you read things and you get things, you have to, who sponsored it, who's paying for it. Like there's this whole funnel that you go down into. So
like when studies come out and then there's a headline and people come to me, I'm like, okay, you guys, let's just break down who put the study together.
Yes.
Who paid for it? How many people were in it? Is it a blind placebo test? Like there's so much to it.
Yeah.
Before you start, people will take a headline and run with it, and then all of a sudden we've got an entire new diet craze,
right,
that is making people sick, but they think it's great because they lost 10 pounds in 1 week. And then we're like, whoa, we have so much now that we're going to have to deal with on the back end in a little bit of time. So let's just put a pin in it, do a little research. And I think that's the thing that I love about, the schools that we went to, is that it wasn't, this is it. And I'm not for myself anyway. I mean, we studied everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And I feel like it gave me such a well-rounded sense of like, okay, I can see why people would think that was good. But here's when you take it to a lab, why it may not be. Okay, here's why people are being marketing and they're eating this. How do we break them of knowing that sexy packaging isn't the end all be all? Okay, how do we tell them that if they're having this gastrointestinal disorder, that perhaps even though they think this is touted as a good food, it's actually causing a lot of inflammation. Like there's so much to it. And, that's why I already read the 650 pages, but I'm with you. And I think that if people we're here for you if you guys want the simple versions.
Yeah.
But, really doing your research when you can, and not just, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but you can literally type in anything in Google and what you're typing in will give you obviously the first answer that you're looking for, and then you can scroll down and then find the, the caveats to all of it and all. So you'll always be able to justify, but you got to dig deeper.
Yeah.
You do the scientific journals and see where the doctors did their studies and who they're in,
Yeah.
in bed with and who's paying for it.
Yeah.
A lot of the companies will front money so that they can have the test results that they want.
Right. And I think we can both agree on this. You can never go wrong with sticking mostly to whole foods.
I want to say one thing because I don't want someone to yell at me and tell me that Rich Roll isn't vegan. I know that he used to be, and now he's plant powered. He is a plant-based eater. So just putting that out there. But yeah, eating the, wholesome plant-based foods is, no one, we're really having a hard time with people combating that when you look deep inside your arteries.
Yeah.
In your recovery. And, I just had a friend, my friend Andrea, she just decided, she said, I'm not recovering and I'm not where I want to be. And I look at you and I'm in. And she's like, I'm going to start Monday. And then she called me. She's like, spent all day Sunday. She's like, I had my first vegan day. And it was awesome. And then she sent me pictures of her food. And I was like, you go, girl. Like, I'm just with you because now I know you're going to be eating even more vegetables and plants and wholesome, fruits than even before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of books too.
Yeah. Do you have one like a nutrition book or anything that like you were like that you like feel like people should read?
Well, yeah, it was a sugar one about how sugar was basically cocaine.
Yes.
Because if I tell everybody, like, if you can cut back on anything, could you please just cut back on sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like calcifying you from the inside out. But I was trying to think like what I actually had in here. But Nancy will love this. Okay, because I'm a gut person. So this is one of my other favorites. And of course, it's right by my bed.
Well, there you go. Gut.
Because you can't have a gut and not talk about food.
Correct.
So I think yeah.
It's called all health starts where?
The gut. 70% of disease, right, starts in the gut, and that's because that's where all of our immune system is. So if you're feeling off and funky, get after that gut. So I was trying to think of like if I had to offer one other book that I had changed my life, or for anybody that's feeling like maybe they need a little guide and they want it to be simple and they wanted to just do something with a little bit of reading and then a little bit of self-reflection that doesn't take hours upon hours and gives you can take the time and you can read it whenever you want, is I went to Bali to write a book and I wrote a book and then I decided that wasn't the version of life I wanted to tell. So I'm rewriting, as Nancy knows. And it just got spicy. But this is the guy who changed my life, Mastin Kipp. Shout out to Mastin Kipp.
Oh, I remember. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so he was my mentor, and we were in a room, and he asked me one of the most powerful questions of my entire life, and I realized I had been lying, telling everybody after I lost my dad for 30 years. I'm like, I'm okay. And I was like, maybe you're not so okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you got to do some work, but the book is really, really good because he's, look at like, he just highlighted, underlined, just like Nancy likes. Oh, we got some arrows.
Love it. Love it.
Here we go. When you live on purpose, you pay attention to the inner nudges that say, let go, or try again, or you can do this. This puts you in a flow with your creator rather than the flow of your fears.
Yes. There you go.
A delay is not a denial. So yeah, just this book is phenomenal, and it's 40 days. And I have told everybody that I think it should be like, every page is dog-eared. But if you really wanted to kind of step away and be like, where do I just start with myself and have some thought and kind of get grounded and rooted, you'll answer the questions like Nancy said, like, what are the things that I gravitate to? What do I like? Who is in my life that may not be serving me? What are things around me that are sucking energy that don't feel good? Oh, maybe I need to replace that picture in that frame. Like, it's the little things that just come to you.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of spirit and divine connection, because I think people are really hard pressed or really like hyped up on like, it's cool to not be connected to your creator.
Oh.
Right? People like to kind of disassociate because they think it's cool. And this book is really grounded in, it's cool to kind of like connect with the bigger powers that really do, I think, have a hand in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's very cool. I also think, my own opinion, that you can feel the difference. You know, and I mean, of course, my bigger power, mine is God, whatever somebody else's, universe, anything, whatever it is, you can feel the difference. That's how, for me, I can. When I wake up now, and this has been a journey, I never sit in the chair of judgment to anybody, because I have been there. And it's, you know, we all have our own journey, and I feel very, very, very blessed for where I am mentally and spiritually on my journey right now. I wake up every day on purpose with a relationship with God. That's my higher power, my higher universe, whatever it is. And it really sets the tone for my day. And then I read something else that I always start with him. And then, so just totally tangent, like this is what I'm reading right now, The Circle Maker.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And it's drawing those circles around the dreams of our life, and kind of how to pray big. I just read this today, and oh my God, it was like, it was, do you ever catch yourself saying, in, you know, when you're praying to God and you're talking and you're like, but I know, I'm really blessed right now. So it's your will, God, like whatever. Like, if you don't give it to me, I'm totally fine. They're like, that's a cop out. God wants to hear, or whoever you want to be, God wants from me. God wants to hear your big dreams, your big desires. I'm not saying he's going to answer them all, but he wants to hear them. And he's going to answer them in a different way. So, you know, don't play small. Don't dream small. Don't pray small. Don't be small. Don't be, again, back to the fear.
Right.
And I don't think most people would ever connect like, oh, it's a fear thing. We're taught to be grateful, and we want to be grateful. Like, gratitude is everything. But there's that balance. Like, I always say what I am grateful for, what I'm blessed for, blah, blah, blah. And then I let him know, but I'm also ready for this.
Yes.
I'm ready. I've done I think we were talking last week, like, you've been in the desert a long time now. I'm ready to come on out.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I think we were. You were like, you're going to be stuck in the desert. I think having that big ask keeps the dream alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's when for like me, I realized, I was like, oh, when did my vision board kind of got small? And like, you know what I did the other day? I called my friend that I'm running the 50 miler with. I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And here's what's next. And she goes, what is this? I go, it's a map of Mount Kilimanjaro. I think we should hike it next year. And she's like, are you serious? I go, yeah, I printed it and I put it on my vision board. I have the route and everything. Like, I was like, let's go. But I didn't always grow up with that connection and that divine, but I had always thought about it. And then I was resistant to it. And then I would be open to it. And then I would have these like heartfelt experiences where I was like, I was just divinely saved. Yeah. And then, but I never leaned into it. And it wasn't until I leaned into it that I was able to connect all the dots and be like, you have had my back the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. When I was yelling at you and I thought I should have dated that guy, thank God he did something bad and you got me out. Thank goodness you gave me the intuition to listen, be like, peace out. This is not good for you. When I was getting sick and instead of taking drugs, I had no, I'm going to go to school. Like, all of those that we don't really think, they're like, well, you can give credit to yourself. Yeah. But there is such a divine hand in it's going on. Like, it's profound when you kind of sit down and think about it. And I think that's why, I think that's why Claim Your Power is probably such a good one, is because no matter what you call it, he guides you in that direction.
Yeah. Awesome.
Like it's all about your divine creator and you and where you are and where you want to like expand to. And then I guess the last book, since you were talking about the Circle Maker, so I had just finished Without Rival. And it's just phenomenal. It's about embracing your identity and purpose in an age of confusion and comparison.
Yeah. And we are in that.
The phone and how we suck into here and not download into here or up here or get out there. And instead we focus on what everybody else is doing. And instead of ourselves, and how we don't give ourselves enough credit or power or do the work. Mm-hmm. And when you can do the work and tap into like the thief of joy, but it's not just the thief of joy or comparison or, will we allow the attacks that we have to harden our hearts? Like right. How many people, well, that happened to me. So you're never going to be nice again. You can't right. be kind. You can't be open. You can't, things like that I think people go throughout their day not having their realization that quite possibly what happened to them has also probably happened to a million other people.
Yeah.
If you just kind of let your guard down and, get in with the spirit of yourself and the big guy or whatever it is for you, you really can make a lot of shift. And a lot of magic can happen.
Oh my gosh, you can make so many. And I think, we both probably have 1,000 more books like that. I'm always getting a new book. I'm always like, I rotate.
I know Nancy just waved Marie Forleo and was like, have you read this? And I was like, oh, she's beating me to it.
Another one, super great book. It really, and everything is figure outable. Mm-hmm. Everything is figure outable. And I love it that she says that. That's how she grew up. Her mom told her that, like, I definitely did not grow up with that mentality. So it's just another great book, a fun read, but packed with wisdom, with nuggets that you can take, and just take a nugget, do one, right? But I think at the end of the day, what we really want to say is, all the external things that you want to do, maybe in your life, or maybe you don't even know what you want to do. You're like, is this all there is? Get a book. And we'll list the books that we talked about here. We have so many more. But start training here. It all starts here. And then you do the work. And you do the work, and you just you don't have to have it all figured out. What is the saying? How do you climb a staircase? One step at a time. So you can look all the way to the top. That's the vision. But then you've got that huge gap, and that can look overwhelming, right? So you just, okay, I'm right here. And just get something to read, just 15 minutes a day. And then, you know what? I bet you'll start moving 15 minutes a day if that's what you need to do also, or changing what you eat. It just starts, and it's the shifts to create positive, and then turns out to be radical. And radical, we don't mean like, oh my God, you just flipped your world upside down, but you might have in here, and that's the radical change, so I love it. I could talk.
I do not look up while I'm running.
Yeah.
Oh, how far do I have to go? No, thank you. I'll just right in front of us. That looks like I'll never get there.
Yeah, don't look up. Yeah.
It's all good. Just focus on what you're doing.
Right? Just focus on the next step. That's how you finish it.
No,
right?
it really can't make a difference.
Yeah, I think it really. I don't know any person of leadership, of success, in whatever success, however they define it, that has not had some kind of books, podcasts, things around them that help develop their brain. I heard it once. Our minds are a very dangerous place to wander alone.
Yeah.
Because, we have all the negative thinking. It just comes quick and easy when I'm talking to clients and I'm like, what went well? I hear the litany of what didn't went well. And I have to go, that is not the question I asked. It's
Right.
the first line of defense. What's not going well? What's wrong? What's this? And so the more you can fill your mind with positive things, that's going to start shifting and those changes happen. So,
Right. Because if we repeat our thoughts day in and day out and they're negative, then you're living basically in yesterday.
yeah.
So you got to feed it something new in order to have that, pattern interrupt and shift forward and move.
Yeah.
So,
Shift forward. That's it. Give a
forward.
shift.
I have read like 3,000 books. And if my friend Natalie Roy is listening to this, she will know that we have once had to give up like 300 books at my house when I had to move and downsize. So,
yeah.
Feel free to ask us what we've read. I am no stranger to the entire self-help department. I have read them all. I love them. And yeah.
Yeah. So we'll list the books. We'd love to hear what some of your books are too.
I would love that. And suggestions of
Yeah, and if you never know who else is reading things that we send, that book might be the one they need to hear too. So we'd love to hear also what are some books that have really impacted your life mentally, nutritionally, lifestyle,
spiritually, mindset, anything. Yeah.
fun. It can be fun.
Oh, I've read so many fun books. Like The Sex Lives of Cannibals was crazy. I was like, what is this?
I don't even know what that name is you just said.
It was wild. That's what I'm saying. You never know what books you're going to get stuff out of it. And you're like, this is a true story about some travel and, things like that. Those are fun. We'll take it.
They're very fun. All right. Thank you very much for being with us. And we will be back next week.
Yay. Bye, guys.
Bye.